9 signs that reveal childhood neglect. Let's get right into it. Number 1. Overly independent, afraid to ask for help. You probably know that one friend who insists on carrying all the grocery bags in one trip, refusing any assistance, nearly losing circulation in their arms, but proudly declaring, "I got it." If that friend feels suspiciously familiar, yeah, it might be you. Here's the truth. Being independent is great. But being overly independent, to the point where asking for help feels like failure, is often a sign of childhood neglect. When your emotional needs weren't met as a kid, your brain adapted. It told you, no one's coming to help you, so you had better do it yourself. That survival strategy might have protected you back then. But now, it just makes life unnecessarily exhausting. Science backs this up. Neglected children often develop what psychologists call hyper-independence, where self-reliance isn't just a skill, it's a shield. But shields are heavy to carry all the time. The irony is, people may admire your strength, while inside, you're just tired of always being the strong one. Being strong alone doesn't make you weak. It just means you learn to survive without support. But healing starts when you realize you don't have to carry every bag, every burden, or every broken chair at IKEA by yourself. Sometimes, strength is knowing when to let someone else help. Number 2. Hyper-aware of others' feelings, but clueless about your own. Picture this. You walk into a room and instantly know who's annoyed, who's pretending to laugh at a bad joke, and who's secretly regretting their haircut. It's like you've got emotional X-ray vision. But the moment someone asks, "So, how are you feeling?" your brain blue screens. This is another side effect of childhood neglect. When you grow up in an environment where your emotions aren't acknowledged, you start outsourcing your attention. You scan others constantly, because their moods could mean safety or danger. You became a human radar system. Great for avoiding conflict, terrible for self-awareness. Neuroscience explains this through attunement. Children who don't receive emotional attunement from caregivers often struggle to identify their own inner states. It's like knowing everyone's Wi-Fi password except your own. You're so tuned into others that you can't tune into yourself. The danger? You end up living in other people's emotional weather while never checking your own forecast. And if you've ever been caught in the rain without an umbrella, you know how that ends. The first step to fixing it? Start asking yourself, what do I feel right now? Not what's happening to them, what's happening to you. Number 3, feeling guilty for resting or enjoying yourself. Imagine you finally take a lazy Sunday to binge watch Netflix. You're lying there, snacks in hand, cozy blanket on, and suddenly that creeping guilt shows up. It whispers, shouldn't you be doing something productive? Shouldn't you be fixing your life right now? That guilt didn't come out of nowhere. It's often rooted in neglect. If as a child you only received attention when you were useful, doing chores, achieving something, or staying out of the way, you learned a dangerous rule. Rest is undeserved. Your brain wired itself to believe that you must constantly earn love, safety, or even permission to relax. Psychologists call this conditional worth, the belief that you're only valuable when you're performing. It's exhausting, and it turns every moment of joy into a courtroom trial where you're both the judge and the guilty defendant. But here's the twist. Rest is not laziness. Rest is maintenance. Even your phone needs recharging, and no one yells at it for being lazy when it's plugged in. So, the next time guilt tries to ruin your break, remember, your worth isn't measured by constant doing. Sometimes, just being is enough. Number 4, uncomfortable with too much care or attention. Ever had someone genuinely care about you, and instead of feeling warm and fuzzy, you felt like a cat being picked up against its will? You squirm, you want to escape, and you're thinking, why are you smothering me? That reaction often traces back to neglect. If you grew up in an environment where affection was scarce or inconsistent, your brain got used to running on emotional low-power mode. Suddenly, when someone showers you with kindness, it feels overwhelming, even suspicious. Your nervous system isn't used to abundance. It only knows scarcity. Think of it like this. If you have only ever eaten plain bread your whole life, and someone offers you a full 5-course meal, your first thought isn't yum, it's what's the catch? That's not because you don't deserve love. It's because your body learned long ago that care wasn't reliable. The challenge now is retraining your system to accept care without fear. Because the truth is, attention and affection aren't traps, they're nutrients. And your soul, just like your body, needs them to thrive. Number 5. The constant feeling that something is wrong with me. There's a phrase many neglected kids grow up repeating in their heads. What's wrong with me? And the tragic part is, it's rarely a question. They assume there is something wrong. It's not a sharp panic, but a dull background hum of wrongness. Like a computer with an error message stuck in the corner of the screen, even when everything's technically working fine. This comes from the absence of validation in childhood. When your feelings weren't acknowledged, your brain didn't assume my environment is lacking. Instead, it assumed I am lacking. That's the cruel trick of neglect. It doesn't just starve you of love, it convinces you you're unworthy of it. The scientific term here is internalized shame. It lodges deep in your self-concept, quietly shaping how you move through the world. But here's the hopeful part. Shame is learned, not innate, which means it can also be unlearned. You were never broken. You were just never properly seen. Number 6. Normalizing loneliness. Maybe you've told yourself, I just prefer being alone. I'm built different. And sure, solitude can be beautiful. But when loneliness feels less like a choice and more like a default setting, that's another echo of neglect. As a kid, if no one consistently showed up for your emotional needs, your brain built a story. Being alone is safer. Connection is unreliable. So as an adult, you wear loneliness like a badge of honor. You convince yourself it's who you are, when really, it's who you had to be to survive. The irony? Deep down, humans are wired for connection. Neuroscience shows that social bonds activate the same reward pathways as food and water. Loneliness isn't a personality, it's a hunger. But when you've lived without being fed, hunger starts to feel normal. The trick isn't to shame yourself for feeling alone. The trick is to slowly unlearn the idea that needing people makes you weak. Because needing people doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. Number 7. Struggling to identify your own needs. Imagine this. Someone asks, what do you need right now? And your brain goes blank. It's not that you don't have needs, you do. Food, rest, support, maybe a hug. But years of neglect trained your mind to mute that internal voice. As a child, when your needs were consistently ignored, your brain adapted by silencing them altogether. Psychologists call this need suppression, a survival tactic that says, if no one's going to meet my needs, why bother recognizing them? It's efficient when you're a kid trying to survive, but as an adult, it leaves you floating in uncertainty. It's like driving a car with the fuel gauge broken. You know something's wrong, but you can't quite tell if it's gas, oil, or maybe the fact that your engine is actually on fire. The danger? You end up either neglecting yourself or relying entirely on others to guess what you need. The path forward is small but powerful. Practice noticing. Start with basics. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Do I want company right now? Over time, you rebuild that radar, because your needs matter and they deserve to be heard, especially by you. Number 8. Overreacting to compliments. When someone says, you did a great job, do you light up or immediately wonder if they're lying? For many who face childhood neglect, compliments feel less like a gift and more like a prank waiting to be revealed. That's because praise was rare, inconsistent, or maybe completely absent growing up. So, your brain didn't learn how to accept recognition as truth. Instead, it wired itself to distrust it. Compliments now feel like someone offering you a free puppy. You're happy for 2 seconds, then you're suspicious. What's wrong with it? Why me? This is rooted in what psychologists call self-worth distortion. If no one reflected your value back to you as a child, you didn't magically grow up knowing it, you grew up doubting it. Compliments, then, clash with the narrative you've been carrying. I'm not good enough. Here's the irony. The fact that compliments feel so uncomfortable is proof you need them most. They aren't scams, they're reality checks. And with practice, you can learn to let them land. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not easily, but step by step, you start to believe the good things people see in you. Number 9. Becoming invisible in groups. Ever find yourself in a room full of people and somehow you manage to fade into the wallpaper? You're there, but no one really notices. And truth be told, that's exactly how you wanted it. This is another survival tactic rooted in neglect. As a child, being invisible kept you safe. If no one noticed you, no one could dismiss you, ignore you, or hurt you. Silence became armor, invisibility became a shield. The tricky part is, that shield doesn't just turn off when you grow up. Even as an adult, You may instinctively shrink yourself, avoid speaking up, or hide your true personality because blending in feels safer than standing out. But here's the catch. Invisibility protects you from rejection, yes, but it also blocks you from connection. People can't love the version of you they never see. The healing process is about learning that being noticed isn't a danger anymore, it's an invitation. And the world doesn't need a ghost of you, it needs you. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.